court to order. If you'll stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, first up we have review and revision of the agenda. Anyone have any changes?
Chair, I just have one request for a non-agenda discussion item. It's on to discuss public comments relating. Then I agree with the agenda as presented.
Okay, I'll speak up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I agree with the agenda as presented. I disagree. Because under school board subcommittee reports, it should be under D21. It should be Director Nelson.
Any else, or I'll accept a motion?
I make the motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion by Director Winelich, seconded by John Nelson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Any abstain? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Director Illich, you want to read the mission, vision, and value statement?
Our mission statement, educating each student to the highest standards while motivating them to reach the fullest potential and graduating them to be college, career, and life ready. Vision statement, our schools are a place where children belong. Each student is known by name, strength, and need, and provided the education and opportunities to achieve success. Our values, striving for equity, inclusion, and belonging, celebrating diversity, engaging the community, supporting the whole child, promoting and achieving academic excellence.
Thank you. All right, next up we have the oath of office for our student representatives to the ward. We'll start with Nancy Diaz-Sanchez. You want to stand? Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Nancy Sanchez,
will support the Constitution
will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
the state of Oregon and the laws thereof,
and the state of Oregon and the laws thereof,
and the policies of North Wasco County School District,
and the policies of the North Wasco County School District,
and will discharge the duties of student representative
and will discharge the duties of student representative
on the North Wasco County School District Board to the best of my ability.
on the North Wasco County School District Board to the best of my ability.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Kylie Rose. Raise your right hand. Just repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Kylie Rose,
will support the Constitution and laws of the United States,
will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
the state of Oregon and the laws thereof,
the state of Oregon and the laws thereof,
and the policies of North Wasco County School District,
and the policies of the North Wasco County School District,
and will discharge the duties of student representative
and will discharge the the duties of the student representative
on the North Wasco County School District Board to the best of my ability.
on the North Wasco County School District Board to the best of my ability.
All right, congratulations. Next, we have the consent agenda, which includes routine items like previous board minutes, personnel actions, routine financial transactions. Normally, no discussion on these items. Second reading, adoption of policies may be placed on the consent agenda unless the board determines the revision need further study and an additional reading would be advantageous. So we have someone here. Anyone have any comments, or I'll accept a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Richardson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Next, we have the board action calendar review for August and September.
Just have a question on that. I know there's a lot going on as school gets back into session, but Dr. Bernal, between you and Stephanie, is it possible just to get a list, a short list of all the things going on that board members could have opportunities to attend?
Absolutely. We will provide that.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to new staff welcome, and I'll turn it over to Stephanie Bowman.
Okay, hello, good evening. I just wanted to take a moment to introduce some of the new faces that are going to be joining us this school year. As you may or may not know, all our licensed staff are coming back on Monday and our ESPs are coming back on Tuesday, so we are really gearing up for the new year. We want to first welcome Nick Bowman. He's going to be our second teacher out at Norcor. Anastasia Conlin is joining the teaching and learning team as a TOSA instructional coach district-wide. We're welcoming Teresa Shook as a first grade teacher at Colonel Wright. Maria Bustos Ramos as a third grade teacher at Chenoweth. Taylor Coffer, a science teacher at TDHS. Jocelyn Paris, a TLC teacher at Chenoweth Elementary. Justine Fish, fourth grade at Chenoweth Elementary. Christy Sturgeon, PE teacher, TDMS, and no, I didn't purposely put them next to each other, Fish and Sturgeon. Rebecca Campbell, second grade teacher at Chenoweth Elementary. Jared Burrow, a TOSA, a school culture and climate at Dry Hollow Elementary. Catherine Kramer, fourth grade at Dry Hollow Elementary. Jesse Kerslowski, SLC teacher, Chenoweth Elementary. Grace Junkins, science and PE virtual teacher at Innovations Academy, and social studies. Allie Castaneda, sixth grade social studies teacher at TDMS. Tanya Cummings, sped teacher, Dry Hollow. Galen Seaman, advanced math teacher at TDHS. And Brianne Coburn, sped teacher at TDMS. And I look forward to all of them correcting my pronunciation of their names this coming school year. For ESPs, we have Tony Watley, who's our new secretary down at Facilities and Operations. Deidre Marks, SELA at Dry Hollow Elementary. Avril Karstboom, SLPA at District-wide. Blanca Morales, Asila at Chenoweth, Beatrice Gallegos at Chenoweth Elementary, Renata Clark, the SNU secretary at the district office, Sarah Lawrence, a media assistant at Dry Hollow, Amber Hewitt, a media assistant at Chenoweth, Lloyd Miller, a bus driver, and Haley Benfield, educational SELA at Chenoweth. Last but not least, we have a few new members of our leadership team. Some of these are not new, but they are new to their position. So we want to formally welcome Autumn Lloyd as the principal at Dry Hollow Elementary. She's been interim this last year and has moved into the permanent principal role. We also want to welcome Sherry Kilgore, the principal at TDMS. And Sherry, do you want to stand up and give him a wave? Give him a wave. We also want to welcome, not a new face, but new to the role, Kevin Ramsey as the assistant principal at Dry Hollow. I think I saw Kevin, no? Okay. And last but not least, Shudi Data, who's the assistant principal at the Dallas Middle School. He's also not a new face, new to the role. He's coming over from the Dallas High School, where he was previously an advanced math teacher. So we are very excited about all our new and new role faces this school year. We're going to have a few more add-ons as the month kind of rolls out, so we'll probably have some more names to share with you at our September board meeting.
Thank you. Next, we have student representative to the board report. Either one of you want to say anything? Okay, we'll move on to staff reports for D21 Education Association or North Wasco Education Support. Okay. School board subcommittee reports. Scholarship Committee, Director Winelage. Okay. Community Outreach, Director Nelson.
I haven't attended a meeting. It's going to happen Tuesday.
Wellness Committee, Director Richardson.
I have no wellness committee report.
Equity Committee, Director Winelage. Okay. Wasco County Forest Collaborative, Director Nelson.
Yes, I do have a report. The Forest Service recently published a draft environmental impact statement for the National Old Growth Forest Plan amendment in the Federal Register, initiating a 90-day public comment period. At the meeting, members discussed their idea of what common qualities old growth forests should have under different circumstances and environments, and what measures should be in place to achieve well-managed old growth forests. We will most likely submit comments. It was a rather interesting, different opinions on that, because one of the things that I brought up was, does that change with the nature of where the forest is, the type of species the trees are, and so forth? And yes, it does. So the looks are different. It's not so simple to say, this is old growth and that isn't. So interesting. We also discussed our thoughts about the updated state hazard map, which is controversial, to say the least, and the implications the plan would have for Wasco County residents. Some members criticized the plan for having many inconsistencies in the way they evaluated properties, some of them, and then differently with others that had similar characteristics. So in the same area, with similar properties, similar environments, they were classified in different categories. So that's kind of being questioned. Why? And no reasons given, really. Maybe there is, but we couldn't figure that out. Anyway, so we discussed how the collaborative could advocate for continuing public engagement and input. And that's my summary.
All right, thank you. Okay, next we have new business. Discussion on the 24-25 board goals, and I'll turn it over to Director Richardson.
I'll go ahead and go to number 2, which will include my OSBA Legislative Policy Committee report, because the LPC met the first day of the summer board conference, and then I'll invite Dr. Director Winelage to comment too, because she also attended the summer board conference report. So the LPC, as I mentioned, met the first night of the OSBA conference, and they started to strategize for gathering input on 2 big issues, as well as others that are currently being kicked around in anticipation of the 2025 legislative session. Cindy, I'll give you a written report. The full legislative session begins January 13th in 2025, but the 2 big issues are, number 1, a potential statewide initiative to ban cell phones in all public schools, and number 2, public school funding. So about the cell phone bans in schools, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek and a bipartisan group of legislators are considering a statewide approach to limit cell phone use in schools. Currently, policies vary widely across districts, with some schools implementing their own rules. Governor Kotek and other legislators argue that a consistent state-level policy would reduce confusion and better support educators. The proposed legislation aims to address the impact of smartphones on students' focus and social and emotional well-being, as well as personal electronic devices. There's debate about the level of control districts should retain under such a policy, but the discussion this summer was really about retaining local control and input for such a policy, even if the state were to make a recommendation that each district have one. As of August 2024, several public school districts in Oregon have already implemented or are planning to implement cell phone bans during school hours. For example, Lake Oswego School District has announced a strict ban on cell phone use during the school day, citing concerns over distractions and impact on students' mental health. There's also a nonprofit in Central Oregon that's presented to the legislature twice that brought data showing the academic benefits of a phone-free school, showing that average standard test score improvement after a phone ban increased 6% on average for all students and 14% on average for low-achieving students on standard testing. We've heard discussions at Portland Public Schools as well as small school districts looking at this kind of initiative. So the upshot from the conference was to start talking about whether or not your district should have a policy in anticipation that the possibility may come from the legislature for a statewide ban. The second issue is about public school funding for 2025. Governor Kotek was also leading efforts to reform how Oregon funds its public schools. With the current school funding formula under scrutiny, there are proposals to increase funding and adjust how resources are allocated. The governor's plan could result in an additional $515 million for the 2025-2027 biennium, but this amount still falls short of what some experts believe is necessary to meet educational needs statewide. So the ongoing discussion also focuses on making the funding process more predictable, and better aligned with actual costs, especially as districts face financial challenges due to declining enrollment and the end of pandemic relief funds. So those 2 big issues, you'll hear more from me as an LPC representative, but if you have thoughts, please send those my way. I'll be soliciting comments from our region to send to our lobbyists as well. Those 2 issues. The next item, I'll continue on number 2. Director Winella, do you have anything to add about the summer OSBA conference?
Well, as far as the cell phones, it was really interesting because the larger school districts are looking at purchasing the Yonder bag, which is $300 a bag. And if we don't look at this ahead of time and allow the state to mandate this, we could be stuck with the cost. So we probably need to, I know we're doing a pilot program in the middle school. Hopefully that'll be a jump off, but it would be nice if we could get something out there in hopes that we're not stuck with the cost, that we can handle this ourselves, because that's a lot of money. And as we know, they don't fund things after they mandate it, so we need to be aware of this. And I'm sure Randy will appreciate that.
The only other thing I'll add about OSBA Summer Conference is we're one of the few districts that has student representatives on our board. We're really excited about both of them joining us, and this is an opportunity where we can solicit their input from the high school at least about what students think and feel about personal electronic devices and how limiting those may have an impact on their well-being or on academics or the unforeseen consequences that we might not be looking at when we do restrict them if we do. So, yay. The next item under new business that I have is discussion on the 2024-2025 board goals. Do you have, cool. So this is small, but Chair Jones, Director Elledge, Wynn Elledge, and I met with the superintendent after our work session and gathered all of the input we had from the school board about the elements of things we want to achieve, things we want to avoid, things we want to preserve, and things we want to eliminate going into the next school year, and try to consolidate around 5 ideas, and you'll see those in the orange sticky notes. Our hope is that as a board, we can agree on 3 of those so that you can, Robin, if you could zoom in. And on the orange sticky notes, there are 5. They fall under the different domains for effective boardmanship. We achieved our 3 goals last year, and they were aligned with the D21 strategic plan as well as the superintendent's goals. So we tried to do the same thing with 5 different goals falling under each of those domains. So if you go to the first one, these are ideas we came up with. So one idea would be to spell achieve, right? All board members achieve at least bronze level leadership institute certification with the OSBA within the academic year. This is a leadership institute level that's available to any board member. You can achieve this with attending a full day pre-conference workshop, or you can watch webinars at your own pace. You can actually get all of the credits for bronze level by doing that at your own pace. So that is one option. The next one idea was to form a planning group to meet in January to discuss future bond work. So as a board, we can start looking to the future and think about our facilities planning and how we want to approach the public again for bond work, doing some pre-planning. The next idea was we could create an action items from our work session, an LPG data review. So what that is we look at the 5 elements: on-time graduation, 5th year graduation, 3rd grade reading, what are the other 2? Attendance and thank you, 8th, 9th grade on track. Great. So we look at that data and then we develop some action items or plans that we as a board can do to support achievement under those goals. And those would be asking the superintendent, how can we help improve these data points? So that's the 3rd idea. Go ahead, scroll over. Yeah. The 4th idea is that each board member can attend 3 school-based events this year. Those will be on the list that the superintendent will provide us. So there are opportunities to meet the community and the students and the teachers in that school. It can be coffee with the superintendent at the school with parents, community night celebrations, and school community assemblies and others. So that would be one goal. And then finally, the last idea was the board will review existing data and literature to inform upcoming policy directions on at least one policy and initiative. One example would be the impacts of prohibiting cell phone and other electronic devices in schools. So we can ask to have an expert or public speaker come and do a presentation for us to give us data about other schools that have done this, and see what we can learn from any literature or data that exists out there so that we can make a decision for D21 that matters most to our students and that has some outcomes. So those are 5 ideas, Chair. I don't know how you would like to proceed with choosing, or we can wait until we hear from the superintendent her goals and try to align those as well. Are there any questions about any of those ideas? Or do you have another one?
So are we making a motion to agree to all this?
These are 3 ideas that came out of the work session.
Yeah.
So I think ideally, after having heard this presentation, we can spend some time individually thinking about them and come back at the next meeting, and perhaps then we could do a straw poll of the top 3 of these that are most interesting to everyone. And if there's something that occurs to you that's missing, you could propose that as an alternate too.
Okay, that's
Yeah, we give some time to think about it. I mean, there's some meat in the game, right? Because you have something on the hook to finish it yourself, but then, yeah.
Plus, I think we should also look to see what Dr. Bernal puts out there for her own goals, so we're not clashing.
Yeah, ideally we'll be in alignment. Thank you. Can I go on to number 3? Okay, this is unrelated. So, well, I guess partly related. I've heard some community input about where we place public comments at the end of our meetings. And as we're looking at really getting into meaty discussions about policies and deliberations that we want to make, I think it would be very helpful for us to hear comments about agenda items from the public up towards the beginning of our meeting. So that can hopefully inform our deliberation and discussion about the agenda items that we'll get to next. Otherwise, we're deliberating and voting on an agenda item and perhaps we wouldn't hear public input until the end. So my suggestion or request is that we split public comments and have public comments about agenda items up towards, before we make deliberations on things we're going to, policies we're going to vote on. And then if there's non-agenda items, the chair or the board can decide how you want to address that. If you want to continue our current process to have speakers sign up like they have been and they could speak on any topic, or they could, another idea is they could submit the non-agenda item and write it to Cindy, and we can look at that and see if it needs to be an agenda item in a future meeting, or if it is a comment that that needs other redress. So for example, if it was a complaint, we can help that speaker go through the process for complaints, for example. So that's a way that we've learned at the OSBA conference that you can address and treat public comments so in a meaningful way, so that the speakers feel that they've been heard and we can really use the information they're presented to us. That's all.
Any comments?
I think it's a great idea, and Judy presented a lot of ways to skin that cat there and how to divvy it up, but just in general, I think that placing public comments middle of the meeting more toward the beginning is, I think that's a good solid move, because having something like public comments at the end can often feel after the end of a long evening like it's kind of a throwaway time. Everybody's ready to pack up and go, and so just from that aspect of making speakers feel heard, especially, I like the idea of if it pertains to agenda items, let's get some public comment and input prior to us voting on something like that or having discussion on an agenda item. So I'm all for it. We can certainly have some more discussion if we want to divide it up, agenda items and non-agenda items, or just place the whole bulk of it earlier in the meeting. But in general, Judy, I'm super game for the idea.
Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to superintendent's report. I'll turn it over to Dr. Bernal.
Thank you. Before I invite Katie and Jim up to talk about summer learning, I just want to take a moment to recognize both of them and also Director Brennan for their hard work in putting together our summer learning this summer. We are one of 100 districts, so not all school districts received summer funding. It was an application process. We were one of 100 districts awarded monies to provide summer learning. North Wasco was awarded $630,000, which is a significant amount. And When we were notified of the award, we were also only given a very short turnaround time to submit what our plan was going to be. So I just really want to commend Director Brennan and Katie and Jim for really pulling together a really solid program. I was able to visit this summer and I saw a lot of great things happening, a lot of happy kids. And we also had a lot of great community partnerships in the work, which you'll hear about in their presentation tonight. So Katie and Jim, happy to have you come forward, and Director Brennan, I believe, is online.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Katie Garrett, and I served as the K-8 Summer Rise Administrator.
And I'm Jim Taylor. I did the SOAR at the high school. And Shannon is here.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. You have our presentation, I believe, really Katie's and Jim's presentation. Thank you. So I will pass it off to them very shortly. The next slide just gives you an overview of the Summer Learning Grant, which was funded out of House Bill 4082. And on March 18th, we were notified that we were allocated $630,000, like Dr. Bernal said, and we had less than a month to create a plan for our summer learning with the direction that we had to incorporate three main goals of academic enrichment, youth development, and equitable access and family partnerships. So some additional requirements of the grant were that we had to have an existing summer learning plan already in place. This was what qualified us with that was our 21st Century Community Learning Centers grant, a partnership with the ESD. We had to have at least one partner organization, which, and to fulfill that requirement, we had to have a letter from the partner organization stating that they were intending to partner with us. And as a follow-up to our program, there is some extensive reporting that's due to ODE by November 15th. So those are some details, like an overview of the program, and I'll pass it off to Katie and Jim, who, like Dr. Bernal said, did a fantastic job as summer school administrators. There was incredible feedback from students and staff, and also with some very good feedback for how we can improve our program for next year.
All right, so we do call the kindergarten through 8th grade program the Summer Rise, and we differentiate that from the high school program, which is Summer SOAR. Which, by the way, I am wearing the official Summer Rise t-shirt. If you would like one, there are many, many extras. Just let us know. What? Oh, they already got one. Well, I'm going to personally brag for just a second that my son, Evan Ortega, at the high school, designed this, so I'm very proud of it. So anyways, so I want to give you some information. So in the past, our summer program has been by teacher recommendation. We've looked at students who maybe have some deficits in some areas, and they're recommended for summer school, and that's kind of who gets to come to summer school. This year, it was open, according to the grant, it was open to all students. So we did just an open registration, and we had kind of we had set 250 kids was kind of our limit, that was all the space that we had, and we quickly had to close registration because of that. So we had lots and lots of response. We had summer school from June 26th to July 25th. We went Mondays through Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And during those hours, we served breakfast,
We served lunch, and then we gave students an option to take home a supper with them. And many, many kids did that, so that was great. We had so much food to give to them. So essentially, we were in session for 17 days, which equals 68 hours total for the students to be there. We had, I calculated out, we had our attendance, we had students attending an average of 50 of those hours. So 68 was the maximum, and so we had students about 50 hours total, or 12 and a half of the 17 days, which equals about a 74% attendance rate. Let's see, because we only had 4 hours of time, we really had to focus on 3 areas. So we focused on literacy, math, and we'll call it STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math. We were able to partner with several different community partners. We partnered with the Dallas Art Center, and we brought an artist in 2 days a week. So every group of students got an art lesson every week, with the exception of 2nd grade, because 2nd grade got to go to the swimming pool, and we partnered with Northern Wasco County Parks and Rec District, and they got 8 days of swim lessons, so every 2nd grade student. And if they were unable to, if they did not have a swimsuit, we bought them a swimsuit or swim shorts, and we bought every student a towel, so that they got to take home with them too. So that was really cool. Let's see, we also partnered with the OSU Extension Service, and we had an intern from there come and teach the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade robotics class every day for an hour. And he had the kids coding all kinds of cool things with the robots. It was amazing. As far as curriculum goes, we, I think, yeah, you can go to the next one. We tried to, because again, we were on a short turnaround for planning all of this, and so we really wanted to use materials we already had in place, that students were already familiar, teachers were already familiar with, and it wasn't going to be something teachers had to create. So we were able to use for the kindergarten through 3rd grade, we used our foundation, our foundational skills program. They have Ready to Rise. It's a specific summer school program. So unfortunately, our materials arrived a little late, so we got a late start on that. And then we also did some interactive read-alouds to get it at the comprehension piece. And then in 4th and 5th grade, we continued using our Wit and Wisdom language arts curriculum. And 6th through 8th grade, we used the Amplify ELA program that they used during the school year as well as the Read 180 program. So that was very seamless in many ways because the kids were already familiar with it and the teachers were already familiar with it. For math, we used our new iReady math curriculum that we just adopted. And so we were able to provide some professional development to the teachers to kind of jumpstart their use of that. We were able to buy all the manipulatives for the kids to do hands-on. They got to do small groups, and they used the Chromebooks to take a diagnostic test that really showed where their current level was, so that the teachers could really hone in on this student needs this, and we have all the materials to do that. So that was really exciting. And then for our STEAM, we kind of had 3 different things going on. I already mentioned the robotics at 6th through 8th grade. But then at the kindergarten through 5th grade, we partnered with the Daily Invention Project out of Seattle, and they sent these amazing kits that kids were making robotic dogs, and they made stethoscopes to be veterinarians, and it was just really, really neat. Very hands-on, and they came with all of the materials. I mean, they even had these little screwdrivers and for each kid, and a roll of tape, and it was wonderful. And then we also partnered with the Columbia Gorge STEM Hub at 4th and 5th grade, and they provided us a bunch of daily STEM activities for the kids to use as well. So lots of great things happening for sure. All right, and then as far as our staff goes, we were able to hire 20 teachers to serve I think, what did it say, 222 kids that ended up showing up. And kind of the highlights of that, we were able to offer a kindergarten 1st grade split for the DLI program, or our dual language immersion. We had 1 occupational therapist on staff. We had a structured learning center class on site as well. And we were able to have 1 special education teacher. So, and then our support staff was also amazing. We had 12 of them, 1 administrative assistant, 2 social emotional learning assistants or SELAs, and then 2 special education assistants as well. And I will just say, the staff that worked at the K-8 summer school was incredible. They were so flexible, they were so responsive, they were warm, they were compassionate, I told them multiple times how, you know, we had the migrant program going as well as the K-8 program going here. There's a lot of kids here, and there's a lot of chaos sometimes, and just the way the staff responded when there were needs, we just got on the radio, someone showed up, and it was amazing. They did a really fantastic job. All right, and then here's some examples of some feedback we got. We sent out a survey at the end asking parents and kids to fill this out. So we've got a couple of students' responses and a couple of parents. But really what I saw when I was reading all of the comments was just, again, how it took a team effort to make this happen. And we're not talking just the teachers and the administrators and the directors. I mean, we had people commenting on the transportation, that they were so appreciative that we had transportation for students and that the bus routes were figured out and that that the nutrition services were available for kids the whole time as well. We had a couple of field trips and we had kids going down to Clint's and we stopped at the ice cream shop and just all these different places that everyone was so collaborative. It was really great. And I also want to thank the Dallas Middle School staff for letting us invade their building and use every nook and cranny that there is, because we were everywhere. And I'm sure, hopefully we left it fairly clean, but I know it's as a former teacher, it's a lot to give up your classroom and just say, hey, yeah, go for it. So thank you, anyone from the Dallas Middle School that's listening, and also the facilities and the maintenance staff as well. They have to move in kindergarten and first grade size furniture into the classrooms and then move it back out and move all of our materials from here to the Wetumpka to the back. And so it's just a true team effort. So do we want to do questions at the very end, or does anybody have questions specific to the K-8 program?
I have a comment to make. I was just thinking about the math. The advantage of that is the kids that worked with that over the summer will be able to help other kids, and they'll know a lot more and, be more, up on it and willing to share their knowledge there. And also for the teachers, I gave them a chance to practice that and understand it and understand how that feels and the material that's there. And so they have a head start. So I just think that's great that you use that particular program in the summer.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And a comment I will make is that we also opened the program to Mosier Community School students, and they already use iReady, and so they actually helped some of our students and teachers with a few things. So that was great. Thank you.
All right, I had the easy job. I only had grades 9 through 12. Katie had most of the school, most of the district. So at the high school level, summer school is usually about credit recovery, and kids that do summer school are going to summer school to collect credit. So this idea of enrichment and something is something new at the high school level. And we had 90 students by the end of the program. We also did the 17-day program. So it was 5 weeks. We started at the end of June and ended at the end of July. We only had 12 staff, 6 teachers and 6 support staff. We offered, most of the teachers were doing 2 preps. So we had English, we had ceramics, health and PE, algebra and geometry, and Dan Myers is a math teacher at the high school. He used the new curriculum also with high school kids with that program. And we had 1 girl that needed to graduate still. And since I'm a social studies teacher, I created a Google Classroom for her and got her graduated. She graduated. So I did the economics and civics. And then we had Johnson Dunn, he's a teacher here at the middle school. He came and did our US history and world history, but he also wanted to do a thing called the Happiness Project, which is from Harvard University. A Harvard professor was wondering why some of the smartest kids in the world were so depressed. And she went through and created this program of just a social emotional program for Harvard students. And he wanted to try it out. So he actually had 3 preps. So he did the Happiness Project, and the kids that did it actually liked it a lot. It was a nice break, and the ceramics was a nice break too, from the credit recovery. I mean, they got credit for those classes. But it was better than just sitting in English and math and social studies all summer. So it was nice for them. And we also had our science curriculum too, physics and chemistry. So, 6 teachers, we got a lot of subjects covered in that summertime. So we had 77 students, 90 of them earned credit. 77 students of the 90 earned some kind of credit. We averaged about 1.2 credits. There were 4 classes, so they could earn 2 credits. So we had plenty of kids that did earn 2 credits, but the average was 1.2, which is pretty good for summer school. Pretty proud of that. I'm not sure if it was students or staff, but contributed to your success. I'm pretty sure this is a student, the smaller class sizes. Some of these kids kind of struggle with the mainstream schooling, and being able to come in and have a class of 10 or 12 kids really helps them in the summertime. Amazing staff support. Also, how could the program be improved in the future? The kids wanted more classes, more choices available to take, and one of them said something about we started too early, but they always say that. Okay, so I had a great experience myself, and I really think it was a good program, and I know that we've offered summer school in the past, and it's been good for the kids to have that. And I think we should continue to do that for credit retrieval if we can at the high school level. I know finances are a big part of it, but with the bond that we got, the grant that we got was amazing, and it really worked well for those high school kids. We would like to do more enrichment stuff because the Happiness Project was so successful. The ceramics class was so successful. I'd like to do more enrichment stuff. Katie had 222 kids. I had 90 kids. I think maybe including the middle school kids at the secondary level would be a good idea in the future. And supporting kids with enrichment that are not getting up to benchmark on math and reading scores. We can definitely use that summertime to help bolster their skills so that during the school year they do better. And I think we can do that for all secondary grades, 6 through 11, to get them ready for the next year. I also think it's a good opportunity at the high school to bring the eighth graders over and do a freshman seminar where the kids are getting a little support in their English and their math, but they're also learning about what it is to be a high school student, some social emotional programs too, just to bridge that gap for them, for that transition. But I mean, hopefully the money's there that we can work on plans like that. But I'm pretty excited about the success that we had, and I think that it can do a lot more. And I hope that, according to Shannon, Governor Kotek is pretty committed to this, and I think it worked really well for our school district, and hopefully that continues. So do you guys have any questions about SOAR? And we have SOAR t-shirts too, if you want one. They're very similar. Evan, yeah, it's different color. It's a Miami Dolphin green. Right? Oh, there's Shannon. Do you want to chime in?
I do. If I just really want to acknowledge the climate and culture that Katie and Jim established with summer school staff as they were hiring, as they were leading every single day. They really focused on knowing individual students, meeting them where they're at, relationship building. And I think that is why you can, if you had an opportunity to see summer school in action, kids felt safe. And you can hear the pride in their voices when they speak about what happened this summer. So I'm just really grateful for them and the whole thing, really. Oh, and one other thing that Katie mentioned it right at the end of her section, but Clint's was a fantastic community. They weren't a partner because they didn't come in with us to the school, but they supported our program immensely. If you don't know it, they give discounts to the school district. And we were able to, the texts that were used for interactive read alouds, and then also where we had to fill in some gaps, we were able to special order books through them at a discount, and also support a local business. So that was also something to very much highlight and encourage everybody to shop local if possible. Any other questions for us? Well, thank you so much.
Sign up.
I'd just like to add a couple things. Thank you, Katie and Jim, for the presentation, and Shannon, and for all your hard work. Again, thank you very much. In September, I've asked for a presentation about our kindergarten jumpstart that we also had this summer, where we had almost, I think, 58 little incoming kindergartners in school this summer for a couple weeks. And that's under the leadership of Director Brennan and Principal Vieira. And also, just on a side note about summer learning, superintendents that are doing advocacy work right now ahead of this legislation session are advocating for sustainable summer learning money, so that we can have money that we can count on every summer that goes towards summer learning, and we aren't caught in this cycle of, hey, here's some money, you have to apply for it, it's competitive. We think all districts should benefit from summer learning, and all districts should get that money, but also it should be a sustainable model that's not a carve out of our regular budget. It should be in addition to, and it should be something that we can count on so that we can continue to build strong programs for our summer learning and build every summer on the previous program from the year before. So we are advocating hard for that ahead of this legislative session.
Mr. Chairman, if I had a comment, I just want to give a shout out to the ancillary services. They really stepped up the food service program. They had to make some extra lunches, and they were still doing the remote feeding. And the transportation department, they had to double trip it to go to the camps early in the morning and drop those kids off, and then go pick up the summer school kids. And I judge it from the number of complaints that I got, and it was none. So it was a success in my book, so just a shout out to those guys.
Hi, I have
have a question. I'm wondering if it would be possible, or if this has been done, for us to see outcomes data that looks at the whole cohort that went to summer school and learning loss and compare it to students who didn't receive the benefit of summer school. What do the teachers think happens in the fall? Can they really tell a difference in the cohort that took summer school compared to those who have learning loss through the summer?
I'm going to let Shannon answer that one.
We will, as part of our reporting to ODE, there will be data around measurable growths for students. It's not required for ODE to compare it to students who did not attend, but that would certainly be an informative piece of data for us in terms of our planning for the future. So I can certainly include that when I get to the point of doing the reporting to ODE.
Thank you. That would be helpful to us as we go to testify to our representatives in the state legislature, both learning loss, but also food insecurity. I mean, you fed these kids all summer.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
there are lots of indicators that can show that these programs are cost effective and benefit our kiddos. And so all of that you can give us, we can speak to it. Those guys.
Are there any other specific items that any of you would be interested in seeing data on? You know how to find me if it comes up later.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. Next, I'd like to invite Principal Schultes, our principal of Innovations Academy, to come up. We are in the process of requesting a waiver with ODE, and part of that process is getting board approval on this request. So I'm going to give her the opportunity to present.
So last year, we used the mic on. Yes.
Okay, there we go. So last year, we were able to attain alternative school status, and my hope was that that would take care of our reduced instructional hours that we have for the high school. So in order to be in compliance with Oregon Department of Education, our high schoolers need to attend 990 hours in the school year. And with our reduced day, or our reduced week of a Monday through Thursday program, that also runs from 8 a.m. to 2:40, which is also less than the high school. And that's due to busing. So we can't change that. I was hopeful that I could gain some more hours in that, but the way that we're funded for busing, the students catch the bus at the high school and the middle school, and then they bus over. So we don't have separate busing routes. So therefore, that creates a 40-minute deficit Monday through Thursday in our program for instructional hours. But that's not changeable this school year. And so I'm asking for two things tonight. One is that I need approval for you to continue to allow Innovations Academy to run on a reduced weekday. And there are several reasons that I'll get into of why this is beneficial. And the second thing is approval to send this letter to Dr. Williams, the director of Oregon Department of Education, to receive compliance that she approves that we continue to run the program
this way. So the first thing, please see my letter that I did revise. And basically, you can see that some of the reasons why this is good for the students is that they have the ability to obtain credit. Many of the students are credit deficient, and especially the juniors and seniors. Many of them are, a year or two behind. And with this schedule, we have been able to get many of the students graduated. And I've seen exponentially our numbers increase. We graduated 30 students in the 22-23 school year and 61 students in the 24-25 school year. Or, I'm sorry, the 23-24 school year. So we basically doubled the number of students that we have graduated in the 2 years that the school's been in existence. And every day I really see exponentially that we are increasing the sense of belonging, that the students are really doing very well in the program. And part of it is due to this alternative schedule that provides these opportunities. The second thing is work and internship for credit. And this really gives them an opportunity to be valued in the community. One big part of innovations is helping the students regain trust in the system and regain trust in our community and faith in our community that people do care about them and they care about their outcomes. And the ability to have a Friday that they can work and gain more hours. And they can also get credit for the work that they do in the community. Their overall student well-being innovations educated 103 students in person last year and 155 students K-12 in the virtual academy. The population of students, as I said, is very neurodivergent. Several of the students have PTSD, anxiety, depression, ADHD, etc. And the 4-day school week allows them time for therapeutic care and just to improve their overall health and wellness. Connections with family, connections with friends, and just simply more sleep and some downtime for them. Another bullet point is the activity time for students on Fridays. This is something we're going to start to do this school year, and have been increasing virtual assemblies that will be offered for students, and this will offer some varied ways for them to get together with staff and community and with wellness providers to give them education opportunities about how to take control of their own learning and also their own well-being. Then the last thing is advantages for staff performance and retention. At the moment, we have 6 full-time teachers with the in-person with approximately 100 students. These teachers are averaging like 10 different preps a year. They have to rotate their schedules, and they're working incredibly hard. I'll piggyback on what Katie Ortega said about the teachers. Like, I have an amazing staff. They're working so hard, and they care. I had a parent come in today, actually, and decided to enroll two of the siblings of one of their students that attends the high school. And their comment was that they just couldn't believe how much the teachers invest and how much they care. And I really think it's that small school model as well, just like the summer school. And then I have 4 teachers, K-12. So right now we have 10 teachers serving anywhere from 250 to 300 students. This is a skeleton crew. And one of the things that helps us and helps these teachers coming back is that we have time on Friday to have trainings. These trainings are really crucial for the staff to be able to connect, to improve their craft, to collaborate, and to train. Some of the things that we have been focusing on is trauma-informed learning, restorative practices, project-based learning, thematic teaching, co-teaching, and place-based education. So this invaluable time unifies our objectives and increases our effectiveness. The next thing is that our PLC time is very sacred, and that's our professional learning community. Many, most of the time when you look at a professional learning community in an average school, you're going to see grade band teachers collaborating about their math lessons. But with our school, we're collaborating and talking about student success. So we keep a running list of all of our students that the teachers and counselors and principals put on the list to discuss. And then we come up with common strategies to support and lift up those students. And without that time, I don't think that we would have the success for our families that we have had. So the Friday time gives us additional time because we don't have the Wednesday time, so we do it all on Fridays. And I really feel like this has given us a sense of belonging as a staff, and it's really improved our outcomes for students. So that's the review. And I'm asking for 770-hour instructional time. I wish it was more, but it's where we're at. And I'm proposing that for next year, we increase that to 834 with some improved activities that we do, field trips, et cetera, that we offer to students on Fridays. So the plan is to increase it, but this is where we are at the moment. Do you have any questions for me?
Donna, just to clarify, 770 is where you currently are right now, and so you're just asking ODE for a waiver to come under your alternative school status?
Correct.
Okay, and that 770 counting towards high school graduation as opposed to the 900 usual?
That's
Awesome.
right, yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question. So when the students graduate and they're moving on to college, does the difference in the hours, does that go against them? Is that not even looked at when they're applying for colleges? It's just they've got their diploma and they're college ready if that's how they choose.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, there isn't anywhere that says that how they achieved it through less hours than a different school program. And I went to the alternative education conference this year, and many of the alternative ed schools are on altered schedules. So it's very typical actually for an alternative school to request something like this. And I worked with our representative to form this letter, and she helped me go through the process of a very normal ask. So, and yes, their transcript looks exactly like the high school's transcript. It meets all of Oregon Department of Education standards for all of the classes that they take. And yeah, they have to do the same amount of work. They just do it in a different time frame.
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the proposal for reduced instructional hours for alternative education program as presented by school.
Motion by Director Richardson, seconded by Director Lopez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Right, next we have Chief Financial Officer report. Turn it over to Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first thing is there's a resolution before you. Historically, the Youth Transition Program has been funded through a block grant from the state. They're now saying that it's a direct pass-through of federal money. I budgeted in the state program. This will move the entire grant, if you will. All of the expenditures and the requisite revenue would move from state programs to federal programs. And because we're moving things in totality, we don't need a supplemental budget. We just, the board can do it by resolution, so I'm asking for your approval.
Any comments, or I'll accept the motion?
Chair, I'll move to approve Resolution 24-2503, transferring appropriations 24-25 Youth Transition Grant.
Second.
Great. Motion by Director Vaught, seconded by Director Richardson. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you very much. The financial statements that I presented are, again, June 30th. I mean, this school year's just barely getting started, and we're trying to wind up last year, and I think it's more relevant to show the board how last year is going to finally shake out than the early days of the current school year. That being said, we just encumbered the payroll, so most of this year's budget's gone already. In any event, I'll probably do this same format maybe for August and September, and then this document will approximate what the audit report ought to look like, the final figures, as we're still collecting some grant revenue and property tax revenue and that sort of thing. And we're a bit shorthanded at the business office right now. They're squeezing in vacations and illness, and I had a resignation. We're a little bit shorthanded, but honestly, we're off to a good start for the fiscal year. So if there are any questions on this one, I wouldn't get into a great deal of detail because this one I presented to you tonight is going to change as well as I report August transactions on there. I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there are questions. I do have one more comment, though. So the board, I'll remind the board that part of one of the things that we're doing with the majority of the enterprise zone money for this year was to seal the roofs. And they were in the process of doing the high school when there was sort of a rain event here not very long ago. But I'm happy to report that the work they've done at Watonka and Chenoweth, there weren't any leaks. So there were some clogged drains at the high school and some other things, but they're going to wind that up before school starts or shortly thereafter. And it's warranted for 5 years for no leaks. So we may have a number of 5-gallon buckets that are available for sale. Yeah, we can declare them surplus and get rid of them. And the other thing, I think we're making progress. Obviously, things are very busy. You can tell they've done all the summer cleaning. The facilities department's been very busy. And we're continuing with the installation of it's more than a fire alarm system. It's more like an announcement system with a fire alarm component at Chenoweth Elementary, which will be a great improvement. And frankly, they would never sign off on it again. We had to do something, so we're looking forward to that getting finished. I think that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have the Board Attorney's report. Mr. Carey? Corey?
I don't have anything for the board tonight.
Okay. Next, we have collective bargaining agreement. Who wants to speak? Yeah, I'll turn it over to you again.
So we've received notice that both associations have ratified the changes to the contract. I've incorporated those changes into the final document that can be published tomorrow. So the final step is for the board to ratify the changes to this. So I did it in 3 resolutions by contract and then 1 for the non-represented people. So, and I'm happy to explain the details if anybody's interested, but we met a number of times and reached agreement and they have ratified. So the last step is for the board to ratify those changes. which is a good thing they got done because we're about to do payroll and so this is good.
No one has any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move to ratify all the agreed upon changes to the 2022 to 2025 collective bargaining agreement between the district and the D21 Education Association effective July 1st, 2024.
Second.
Great. Motion by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Richardson. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Any abstain? Okay. Director Vaught abstains. All right, ayes have it, motion passes. I'll entertain a motion for the North Wasco Education Support Professionals.
Chair, I'll move to ratify the agreed upon changes to the 22-25 collective bargaining agreement between the district and North Wasco Educational Support Professionals Association effective July 1st, 2024.
Second.
Okay, motion by Director Vaught, seconded by Director Richardson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Okay, next we have a approval for the non-representative employee of North Wasco.
Chair, I'll move to grant the non-represented employees of North Wasco County School District the same salary adjustments that were granted to represented employees for the 2024-2025 school year effective July 1st, 2024.
Motion by Director Richardson, seconded by Director Winelage. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Next, we have direction on the March 31st, 2024 complaint. Entertain a motion or any comments?
I'll make a motion to that the board take no further action on the March 31st, 2024 complaint and direct the district attorney, the district's attorney to notify the complainant of the reasons for that decision.
A second.
Okay, motion by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Richardson. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Now we have the readopt 2024-25 school district calendar.
Yes. 1 minute. Yes, we're bringing forward one more time the 24-25 academic calendar. As you know, we negotiated with our unions. We will have 3 less instructional days this year. Those dates have been identified as November 1st, the day after Halloween, which great day to have our kids take a break. And we tacked on just 1 extra day to our winter break. So instead of returning on Monday the 6th, we'll return on Tuesday the 7th. And then June 12th will be the other date, which is actually the day after school. But on these 3 dates, actually the district will be closed. So nobody will be here in our offices or schools or anything. We call them blackout dates. Those are the only changes to this calendar. Everything else remains the same, but we're asking for your approval tonight so we can get this out to parents and families.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I'll move to readopt the 24-25 school district calendar to reflect the 3 district blackout dates.
Motion by Director Vaught, seconded by Director Lopez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. All right, next we have first reading on school board policies. These are information only.
Chair Jones, sorry, we have one more action item.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll turn it over to you now.
Yeah, no problem. This is a request for a rehire. Julie Brzezinski has been hired as our intensive program point person for the district. And she also retired from PERS on August 1st. So we're asking for the rehire so that she can fulfill the position of intensive program point person. That'll be a temporary contract through the end of this year.
Chair, I'll move to approve the request to rehire Julie Brzezinski in her current position as the intensive program point person for the district on a temporary contract until the end of the school year, June 30th, 2025.
Motion from Director Richardson, seconded by Director Winelage. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Okay, now we'll move into the first readings. These are information only, so make sure everybody reads up on them. It's policy BBF, board member standards of conduct. Policy BBFC, reporting of suspected abuse of a child. Policy JBAA, section 504, students. Policy IGA, corporal punishment. Policy JHCCF. Pretty head lice. Then we move into second readings for policy DJC, bidding requirements.
I believe we shared with you all, we recommend in this one for the yellow highlighted portion on page 3 that we keep the highlighted language to read this policy and administrative regulation DJCAR exemptions from competitive bidding and special procurement.
Any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I'll move to adopt policy DJC with the recommended language from the district office.
You have a second? All right. Motion by Director Vaught, seconded by Director Winelage. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. All right, next we have policy EBBA, student health services.
So on this policy, in terms of the highlighted language, it's our recommendation that we strike number 12, which talks about listing the positions requiring the CPR and first aid. Our rationale for striking that is that does vary from year to year. Also, funding for providing first aid and CPR also varies from year to year. So actually listing the positions, we'd probably be bringing the policy back every single year because the positions have changed and or are different. So we just recommend we strike number 12. We recommend we keep the next 3 paragraphs related to nurses. And then the last one is really up to the board whether they want to keep that language or not. We're already following the law, so you can keep the language or you can strike it. Either way, we're following the law of the Menstrual Dignity Act.
Discussion? I think it's fine to not include the language if it's in the law already and we're compliant with the law. It doesn't need to specify it again in our policy, although our policy changes when the law changes, and so if that changes, it can come back here for discussion, I think.
Anyone else?
just a question more than anything. The next to the last sentence is about being an integral part of the teaching staff. Currently, we're contracting, they're not technically employed by us. We contract through the hospital. So I don't know how relevant that sentence is. I mean, I don't think they're being shunned or anything like that. I think they probably are included in the building operations. I don't know.
Yes, and if we keep it in there, it does give us the flexibility if by chance the district ended up hiring their own nurses. We do currently contract out, but I recommend keeping it in so that in the future, if the district hires their own nurses, we have it in there.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt policy EBBA with recommended changes.
Motion by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Lopez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Sorry, point of clarification, was that to delete the last language? The recommend, okay. Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, next we have information only
Nope,
policy.
we have one more policy. EBCB. Emergency procedure drills and instruction.
Policy EBCB, emergency procedure drills and instruction.
So there's highlighted language there on the first page, and we recommend keeping that language as we do from time to time, send out related information to our families and community related to these topics. And it does say may provide, so it's not a have to.
Chair will move to adopt policy EBCB as presented.
Second.
All right, motion by Director Richardson, seconded by Director Vaught. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. All right, next we have information only for policies JBAA-AR, Section 504 students, and policy JHCCF-AR for head lice, which is a delete. And make sure you read those and have that. Next, we have comments from the audience about agenda and non-agenda.
Hold on, we have two more. You received two more information only policies.
Oh.
Sorry.
So two more information would be KLGBM-AR, public complaint procedure, and KJA-AR, request to distribute and post materials. Make sure you read up on those, and if you have any questions, get a hold of Cindy. All right, now public comments. All right. Board will accept public comments for the August 22nd meeting. The board is committed to public comment procedure or process and will consider all public comments seriously. Public comments for virtual meetings will continue to follow school board policy BDDH, public participation in board meetings. Anyone wishing to sign up to speak during public comments section of the agenda shall follow the board policy BDDH, public participation in board meeting. You can sign up to speak at a meeting by signing up at the door, and you'll be allowed up to 3 minutes per person to speak. Or you can submit written comments to publiccomments@northwasco.k12.or.us, And the deadline for submitting those is the day before the board meeting by 4 p.m. And you can sign up via webinar by sending an email to Cindy Miller at publiccomments@northwasco.k12.or.us no later than 4 p.m. the day before the board meeting with your name, screen name, and phone number you'll be joining with, and you'll receive a link to join the meeting and will be placed in a waiting room until your name is called. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. With that, I just want to thank everyone involved in the summer school. It sounded like a great thing, and I want to again welcome our new student representatives to the board. Anyone got any comments? I'll adjourn this meeting.